I mean, one of the things for me that has been really fascinating, and I think, like I'm going to say this just as a reminder to folks who are thinking about pursuing careers in computer science and becoming programmers. So I spent most of my training as a computer scientist in my early part of my career as a systems person. So I wrote compilers and like tons of assembly language and design programming languages. Which I know you did as well. And I sort of feel like a lot of the things that I studied just in terms of parallel optimization and high performance computer architectures in grad school. I left grad school and went to Google and thought I would never use any of this stuff ever again. And then all of a sudden now, we're building supercomputers to train models and these things are relevant again. And I think, it's interesting. Like, I wonder what Bill Gates, the young programmer, would be working on, if you were in the mix right now, writing code for these things, because there's so many interesting things to go work on. What do you think you as a 20-something-year-old young programmer would get really excited about in this stack of technologies?
Well, there is an element of this that's fairly mathematical. So I feel lucky that I did a lot of math, and that was a gateway to programming for me, including all sorts of crazy stuff with numerical matrices and their properties. And so there are people who came to programming without that math background who do need to go and get a little bit of the math. I'm not saying it's super hard, but they should go and do it so that when you see those funny equations, you're like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable with that, because a lot of the computation will be that kind of thing instead of classic programming. It is the paradox. When I started out, writing tiny programs was super necessary. The original Macintosh is a 128K machine, 128K bytes, 22K of which is the bitmap screen. And so almost nobody could write programs that fit in there. And so Microsoft, our approach, our tools, we let us write code for that machine. And really only we and Apple succeeded. Then when it became 512K, a few people succeeded, but even that people found very difficult. And I remember thinking, as memory got to be, 4 gigabytes, all these programmers, they don't understand discipline and optimization, and, they're just allowed to waste resources. But now that, these things that you're operating with billions of parameters, the idea of, okay, can I skip some of those parameters? Can I simplify some of those parameters? Can I pre-compute various things? If I have many, many models, can I keep deltas between models instead of having them? All the kind of optimization that made sense on these very resource-limited machines, well, some of them come back in this world where when you're going to do billions of operations, or literally hundreds of billions of operations, we are pushing the absolute limit of the cost and the performance of these computers. And that's one thing that is very impressive, is the speed ups, even in the last 6 months on some of these things, has been better than I expected. And, that's fantastic, because you get the hardware speed up, the software speed up, kind of multiplied together. That means, how resource bottleneck will we be over the next couple of years? That's less clear to me now that these improvements are taking place, although I still worry about that and how we make sure that companies broadly, and Microsoft in particular, allocates that in a smart way. So understanding algorithms, understanding, why certain things are fast and slow, that is fun. The systems work that in my early career is just one computer and later kind of a network of computers. Now that systems where you have, data centers with millions of CPUs, it's incredible the optimization that can be done there. Just, how the power supplies work or how the network connections work. And anyway, almost every area of computer science, including database type techniques, programming techniques, this kind of forces us to think about in a really new way.
Yeah, I could not agree more. So last question. I know that you are incredibly busy, and you have the ability to choose to work on whatever it is that you want to work on. But I want to ask you anyway, like, what do you do outside of work for fun? I ask everybody who comes on the show that.
Oh, that's great. I get to read a lot. I get to play tennis a lot. During the pandemic, I was down in California in the fall and winter, and I'm still enjoying that, although the foundation's meeting in person and some of these Microsoft OpenAI meetings, it's been great that we've been able to do those in person, but some we can just do virtually. So anyway, I play pickleball because I've been playing for over 50 years, tennis, and I like to read a lot. I goofed off and went to the Australian Open for the first time because it's nice warm weather down there, and that.
So I actually want to push on this idea, read a lot. So you say you read a lot, which is not the same as like what most people say when they say they read a lot. You're famous for carrying around like a giant tote bag of books with you everywhere you go, and you read a insane amount of stuff. Everything from like really difficult science books, all the way to fiction. So like, how much do you actually read? Like what's a typical pace of reading for Bill Gates?
If I don't read a book in a week, then I can relook at what I was doing that week. If I'm on vacation, then I'll, hope to read more like 5, 6, or 7. Of course, books are quite variable in size. Over the course of the year, I should be able to read close to 80 plus books. I have younger children who read even more than I do. So it's kind of like, oh, geez, I have to be, which Sowell books am I going to read? I still, read all the Schmiel, Pinker, some authors that are just so profound and have shaped my thinking. But, reading's kind of relaxing. I should read more fiction. When I fall behind, my nonfiction list tends to dominate. And yet, that people have suggested such good fiction stuff to me. And that's why, I kind of share my reading list on Gates Notes. And
yeah. So what's the over under? You're famous for saying that you want to read David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest, like over under that happening in 23.
Well, if there hadn't been this darn AI advance that's distracting me, I'm kidding you, but it's really true. I have allocated and with super excitement a lot more time to sitting with Microsoft product groups and saying, okay, what does this mean for security? What does it mean for Office? What does it mean for our database type thing? Because I love that type of brainstorming because new vistas are opened up. So no, it's all your fault. No Infinite Jest this year.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you making that trade because it's been really fantastic over the past 6 months having you help us think through all of this stuff. So thank you for that. And thank you for doing the podcast today. Really, really appreciate it.
No, it's fun, Kevin. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much to Bill for being with us here today. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. There's so many great things about this conversation, which were reflections of the conversations that we've been having with Bill over the past handful of months as we think through this amazing revolution. One of the things that I've learned most from Bill over the past handful of months as we think about what AI means for the future is how he thought about what personal computing and the microprocessor and PC operating system revolution meant for the world when he was building Microsoft from the ground up. And even like what it felt like for him as one of the leaders helping bring the internet revolution to the world. So like those parts of the conversation today that we had where he was recounting some of his experiences, like the first meeting that he had with Charles Simonyi at Xerox PARC, where he saw one of the world's first graphical word processors, and like how seeing that and talking with Charles influenced an enormous amount of the history of not just Microsoft, but the world in the subsequent years. And just hearing Bill talk about his passion for the things that the Gates Foundation is doing and what these AI technologies mean for those things, like how maybe we can use these technologies to accelerate some of the benefits to the people in the world who are most in need of technologies like this to help them live better and more successful lives. So again, just a tremendous treat for being able to talk with Bill on the podcast today. If you have anything you'd like to share with us, please email anytime at behindthetech@microsoft.com. You can follow Behind the Tech on your favorite podcast platform or check out full video episodes on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.